All right, everybody. Welcome to a special brand new format for the Night and Runs podcast. This is actually being recorded live as a Q&A format within the Night and Runs training group on Facebook. The Night and Runs training group is my group coaching membership, which you can learn all about at patreon.com/nightandruns. It's a great way to get coaching support from me in a community format with whole host of downloadable training plans that I've put together that you can follow whether you're a brand new runner or an experienced athlete, and get support for me within our community. This Q&A format is something new that I'm testing out and bringing to the Night and Runs podcast. I'd love to hear feedback on it, what you think. I'm going to be recording one of these every Thursday afternoon, probably about 1 or 2 p.m., and I'm going to post it in the Night and Runs training group on Facebook and then repost it on the Night and Runs podcast feed. So basically each week, what I want to do with this is highlight some successes that we've been having within our team in both my one-on-one coached athletes as well as athletes in the Night and Runs training group, share any updates going on with Night and Runs coaching in our teams, and answer your questions. So each Tuesday, I'm going to post in the training group a request for questions for the live Q&A, and you can submit your questions there. I actually have 4 that I'm going to go into today and help answer for all of you. And just going to kind of share any thoughts that I might have, things that have been on my mind from the coaching that I've been doing over the past week, or, anything in the running world that's kind of in my mind at the time. So, new format, love your feedback on what you think, but let's get into it. First off, I just want to celebrate some of the awesome performances that we've had within the Night and Runs coaching community over the past week. We're well into marathon training season right now, racing season as well. Most of my athletes at this point have already completed their big goal fall race. We still have a few more to go. For those of you who are doing the Indy Monumental Marathon or the Marine Corps Marathon, Philadelphia or New York, those are all coming up really, really soon. But a bunch of big races, Chicago, the Bay State Marathon here in Massachusetts, Narragansett in Rhode Island. These are all done, and we've had a lot of really great performances. Just this past week, 4 athletes from Night and Runs had awesome races, and I want to shout them out here. So Dominic, we've been working together for nearly a year now, and it's been awesome to see all the progress that you've been making. This past week, Dom PR'd in the half marathon. He actually broke 2 in the half for the first time at the Ocean State half marathon in Narragansett, Rhode Island. And, I really think that it was the hard work and dedication that he's put into his training over the past few months that has let this happen. Dom's PR'd in basically every event this year, and he's working towards running his second marathon in Philadelphia in just a few weeks. The consistent mileage, the attention to the purpose of every type of training element that you're doing, giving each run a purpose and seeing it through. It's a really you can see it in the times, and breaking 2 in the half marathon is a humongous accomplishment. So congratulations. I also want to shout out Brandon, who in that same race in Ocean State Marathon, actually the full 26 distance, ran a fantastic time. So shout out to you, Brandon. And then we had 2 athletes run awesome 5Ks last weekend as well. Ben in Pennsylvania ran a local 5K cross-country race and actually won the thing. So congratulations. A win is always cool to see. And Mike in Boston placed 3rd in the East Boston 5K up there. So congratulations. Looking ahead this week, we got a couple of athletes racing the Marine Corps Marathon. So really excited, and good luck to you guys. Let's get into the Q&A. So I got 4 questions submitted by runners in the Night and Runs community on a whole bunch of different topics here, and we're just going to go through them one by one, and I'll share my thoughts. Again, I'm going to be posting a prompt for this Q&A every Tuesday in the Night and Runs training group on Facebook, and you can ask me your questions there, and I'll answer them here on this podcast that I record on Thursday. If you want to get your questions answered, you can join the Night and Runs training group and get your questions answered from me in this format and get training plans for 5K through half marathon, beginner through advanced, and we can work towards your goals together. You can get those at patreon.com/nightandruns. All right, let's get into it. So my athlete, Sarah, she was asking me about warming up before the marathon. And how do you warm up for a marathon? This is a great question because it's actually, my advice is very different for how to warm up for a marathon than it is for how to warm up for any event shorter than that. So in general, the shorter your event is going to be, the more important a warm up is. And the longer your event is going to be, the least important, the less important the warm-up is. So let's say you were doing a mile race on the track or a road mile. Warming up would be super important for that because you need to run like at 95% of your max speed from the very beginning. For a marathon though, even for the fastest of us, a marathon is going to take well over 2 hours. For most of us, it's going to take well over 3 hours or even over 4 hours. So warming up is less important. You should develop a good warm-up routine that is comforting to you and kind of gets you in the zone and builds the confidence that you need to race well and prepares you physically to race well. But for the marathon, you don't need to go through the whole thing. Instead, you should treat the first few miles of your marathon as the warm-up. And what I love about this approach is it effectively shortens the distance of the marathon itself. The marathon is unique in that the distance is the biggest challenge. Any race shorter than that, you're going to be covering the race distance in training. Maybe if you're a beginner to intermediate half marathon, or maybe you're not quite doing the half marathon distance in training, but you're probably coming close. And if you're more of an advanced or higher mileage runner, you're almost certainly running a half marathon in training or longer with regularity. But nobody, no matter how advanced you are, is really ever running 26 miles in marathon training. So shorten the distance of your run, make the marathon less daunting by treating the first few miles of the marathon as your warm-up. The longer you delay getting to goal pace in your marathon, the stronger you're going to be able to finish the race. So a couple of my athletes are running the Marine Corps marathon this upcoming weekend. The first 4 miles of that race are actually pretty hilly. The first 2 miles are uphill. First 2 miles are downhill. It's the same thing in New York. You go over the bridge from Staten Island into Brooklyn, I believe it is. It's straight uphill from the very beginning and then straight downhill. You can treat those first couple miles of the race, especially like they're a hill, they're more challenging, as the warm-up. Ease into it. You don't need to be going your pace that you want to go right away. Give your body time to adjust in that first 10, 20, or 30 minutes of the race. And then once you feel like you've warmed up and space has opened up around you and you can settle into your goal pace, you can comfortably get into your goal pace. This is how I would do it for a marathon. It's what I did for the Boston Marathon earlier this April. I think for the first 4 or 5 miles, I basically wasn't able to go my pace. I went a lot slower than it because it was so crowded. But once space opened up, I was able to go my pace and everything was fine. So that's how you do it for the marathon. Any event shorter than that, you're going to want to do some jogging, stretching, drills, strides, that kind of stuff. But for a marathon, I think 99% of the athletes out there hardly need to do any warm-up at all. All right, question 2. So Kelly was asking me about carbohydrate loading and how you want to do that before a marathon. I've had a lot of athletes actually ask me this week, like how do you eat in the week leading up to your marathon? To answer this, I'm going to give a few general pointers and then direct you where to go if you want more specific information. So the week leading up to your marathon, you're going to be tapering. Your mileage is going to be really quite low. And for most folks, I mean, you're hardly going to be running any significant miles at all. When this happens, the energy demands on your body for that week decrease. But in my experience, your hunger and your appetite, that doesn't really decrease. So you're going to be eating like the same amount that you've been eating all throughout training. You're just going to want the same amount, but you're doing less mileage. So I have the sense that in effect, your carbohydrate loading, just from that mismatch of how much energy you're expending versus how hungry you still are just from having been marathon training for so long. So that's good. That's on your side. You don't necessarily need to eat a ton more. But what you may want to focus on is how much carbohydrates specifically that you're getting and the types of carbohydrates that those are. So for scientifically optimal carbohydrate loading, it's going to vary depending on your body weight and a couple of different other factors, like how many carbohydrates you need. And I actually recorded a really great podcast with Christy Bauman, who's a nutritionist, all about this and other marathon training nutrition subjects. And you can check that out on the Night and Runs podcast feed, or go to nightandruns.com/blog and you'll see it there. And you can learn directly from Christy about how to carbo load scientifically and get some resources from her. We actually talk about it in our podcast. She goes into kind of step-by-step the best way to do it. But just know if you make a shift from mostly, more of a well-rounded diet to more of a carbohydrate-focused diet in that final week, especially the final few days, you're going to be carbohydrate loading. And what that does is, if you think of your body as having a gas tank and the amount of carbohydrates stored within your body is the amount of gas you have, it tops you up. So when you start your race, you have a full gas tank that you can burn through on the day. Being fully fueled going into a marathon is one of the most important things that you can do to avoid hitting the wall. Most of us who have run a marathon have experienced the terrible feeling around mile 16, 18, or 20, where your body gets sore. Maybe you get low energy, and maybe the pace starts to fade. And one of the major contributing reasons to this can be low energy from not fueling enough during the race or not fueling enough heading into the race. So definitely check out that podcast I did with Christy. The other thing with eating the week of a race, and to be honest, I haven't been super good about this myself, but I want to start personally paying attention more to, is just like the types of foods that you're eating. So generally, it's considered better, healthier to eat things like whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, diversity of foods. But in the week leading up to your marathon, especially the final few days, you really want to eat kind of a boring diet. Refined grains are a recommended carbohydrate source rather than whole grains. They're often easier to digest, and you might not have any kind of stomach issues or bathroom issues leading up to your race that if you're eating maybe more whole grains and vegetables or spicy food, other things like that, you may. So you kind of just want to stick to boring food like white bread, potatoes, the protein of your choice, minimal vegetables, minimal spices, that kind of thing. But definitely check out Christy's podcast. She goes into it more detail, and she is a professional in this area. So check that out. It's called Fuel Your Run. She also has a course that if you really want to go deep into how to best fuel for the marathon, you can sign up for her course and learn all about it. It's good. I've taken it myself and I recommend it. All right. Next question is from my wife, Erica, And this was a little bit of a plant, but thank you for putting this question in here. It's all about off-season training between your fall marathon and your spring goal race, be that another marathon or half marathon or shorter distance, what have you. What should you do during the off-season, and how should you maintain your fitness during this time? This is, I think, on the top of mind of most athletes right now who have finished their fall marathons, or those who are just about to. It's like, what do you do next? My normal response for this is, let's say you're a marathon focused runner, okay? You want to improve in the marathon. That's mostly the people who I coach. The winter is a great time to rest, reset, and when you do run, focus on getting faster without having to do marathon-specific types of runs. So after your goal marathon, please take a full 2 weeks off. That's the first thing I recommend. If I didn't know anything about you and I knew you just did a marathon, I would say take a full 2 weeks off after. Give yourself time to rest, recover, and get excited to go run again. Even if you just did your marathon and you're like super excited and gung-ho and ready to keep going, give your body a break. Give your mind a break. It's going to be good for your longevity in the sport. Marathons, especially if you run them anywhere close to your potential, can do a lot of physical damage on our body. And the best thing that we can do to improve over time is be consistent over time. And taking a 2-week planned break at the end of your marathon is being consistent. It's giving yourself an appropriate amount of rest after massive effort. And it's going to give you a higher likelihood of staying healthy long-term and engaged in running long-term. So take your break. After you've taken your break, you want to ease back into running. And I think that for a lot of us, there's not a huge off-season. Like if you just ran a race in October and maybe you're going to do another race in April, you maybe only have like 6 weeks to 8 weeks to kind of like goof around or whatever before you start doing your focused marathon training again. But this is a great time to just mix it up. Keep our body guessing. We don't just want to be doing the same thing all the time. So what I love doing during this period is really focusing on speed development. So take your break, take a couple of weeks easy to ease back into it, and then sign up for a local 5K or a local 5-miler. Could be like a turkey trot. I'm actually going to be doing a turkey trot, and then in December, going to be doing the Martin Richard 8K in Boston. That's actually going to be the next team event for the Night and Runs athletes. So if you want to come hang out with us, sign up for the Martin Richard 8K in Boston, December 4th. We're going to have an after party afterwards at Brado Brew House across the street, and you're all welcome to come. It's going to be a lot of fun. So sign up for these races and focus for a month or so, 2 months maybe, on running a fast 5K or a fast 5-miler or a fast 10K, and do the types of workouts that a 5K runner would do that are very different than the types of workouts that a marathoner would do. So I'm actually going through this right now. I finished up my goal fall race. I'm racing a 5K and an 8K coming up. So my workout on Tuesday was 6x400 on the track at mile pace. I haven't run mile pace in like months, and it's really good to mix that up. Any speed that you develop now during the winter when you're not marathon training is going to translate into you being able to run a faster marathon next spring. So mix it up, do some fun things, do some different races, and try to get a little bit faster now so then you can run a faster marathon next spring. That would be my advice. All right. Last question. This one is from John. Thanks, John, for submitting this. He asked about mental toughness. He wanted to know about mental toughness when it comes to racing, and how do you know just what you're capable of on race day? And this is a conversation I have with my athletes a lot of the time. They want to say, like, what time can I run in this 5K? What can, is it realistic for me to run 3:20 in the marathon? The thing is, as your coach, I develop confidence in you by watching your workouts over time. And I get a sense of what you're capable of. But in order to reach what you're capable of, in order to be an excellent runner, you need to be able to go deep on race day and go to a place you've never gone before in training. This is how big breakthroughs happen. Big breakthroughs don't happen in a workout. They happen in a race. When mentally something just clicks and you're able to run faster than you've ever run before. Whenever someone does a race and they surprise themselves with how fast they ran, this is what happened. Your workouts and your training has indicated that you're in good shape, but there's always a little bit of uncertainty of what you're actually going to be capable of on race day. So as you come into your race, you can trust your training, you can know what you've done, and you can know what you're capable of conservatively. But what you don't know is just how far you can push it. And how far you can push it is going to come down, to your mental toughness, your chance of your willingness to take risks, and how bad do you want it. You can only run as high as your fitness level, but the only way to unlock your fitness level completely is to be able to go really, really deep and to really, really want it. It's to be competitive, it's to push hard, and it's to hurt. And it's to be willing to take a risk that it might blow up in your face. So I think that how you develop this is by racing more frequently and by trying to be more competitive in your races. And if you want to talk more about this, just message me directly. We'll figure out how to do it. But the more willing you are to push yourself and be competitive, the more you'll have these breakthroughs. All right, guys and girls, that's all the questions I got for today. Thank you for listening to this live Q&A. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, you can ask questions for the next one by joining us in the Night and Runs training group, which is at patreon.com/nightandruns. Inside, you'll get access to the whole host of training plans that I've developed for my athletes, and you can download those and follow them and get support for your training and ask questions within the group. I also have space right now for 2 more athletes from my one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in that, shoot me a message. I do limit how many athletes that I take on with that, and I have space for about 2 more right now. So if you're kind of a highly motivated individual who has really big goals for next year and wants to work hard towards them, reach out to me for one-on-one coaching. And we'll see you in the next one. One other thing, I recently started sharing my book, Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR, as a free downloadable ebook, which you can get on my website. So if you haven't read the book yet and would like a copy, just go to nightandruns.com and there'll be a pop-up where you can click the link that says free book download, and you can sign up to get my free book in ebook format. Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR. Basically, it's my marathon training manual for how you can learn to develop your own training and run your best race. People have been loving the book, and a lot of folks have been signing up for it. since I started giving out the free ebook edition. So be sure to go to nightandruns.com and grab a copy if you haven't already. All right. That's all I got for today. Thanks everybody for listening. I'd love feedback on this new format if you thought it was helpful. And looking forward to doing the next one next Thursday. Till next time, happy running. See you later. Bye.